Sometimes, you don't realize when a single, ordinary moment is about to shift everything you thought you knew about yourself. I wasn't looking for change. I wasn't even searching for someone. But that night, I finally understood what desire really feels like. It didn't arrive with fireworks or grand declarations. No. It began quietly, like the softest hum beneath a song, the kind of note you almost miss until you realize it's been carrying the melody all along. For weeks, I had been ignoring the strange noises coming from my car. The rattle, the grind, the uneasy stutter of the engine when I turned the key. I told myself I'd deal with it later, but later always seemed easier than facing the hassle of finding a mechanic I could trust. One afternoon, after a particularly jarring noise made me wince, I gave in. A neighbor had once passed me a number, saying, "If you need someone reliable, call this guy." That guy arrived the next day. He introduced himself simply Ethan. He wasn't flashy, not the kind who demanded attention when he walked into a room. But there was something about him. Something unspoken. His presence filled the quiet without crowding it. From behind my kitchen curtain, I caught glimpses of him as he leaned over the hood of my car. The way his hands moved, steady, practiced, sure. His rolled-up sleeves revealed forearms marked by years of work, skin roughened, veins raised like rivers carved deep. He carried himself with a calm focus, and for reasons I couldn't explain, watching him felt intimate. I stepped outside with a glass of water. Our hands brushed when I passed it to him. It was the lightest touch, accidental, meaningless to anyone else, but to me, it was like something flickered across the air between us. A spark, a whisper, a beginning. Ethan mentioned needing a replacement part and promised to return the following day. I nodded, maybe too quickly. Before he left, I surprised myself by blurting out, "Do you want to sit for a minute? Maybe have a drink before you go." He hesitated, then smiled, just with his eyes, and agreed. We sat on the porch, the late sun sliding low, painting everything gold. We didn't talk much at first. When he did speak, it wasn't about anything grand. He told me stories about growing up with his father, learning to love the sound of engines, the rhythm of fixing what others had given up on. His voice carried a steadiness that felt like safety. I didn't realize until then how much I'd missed that, someone steady, someone grounded. That night, after he left, I tried to shake him from my mind. I told myself it was nothing. Just a passing thought. But when he returned the next day, right on time, it wasn't just about the car anymore. He worked quietly, occasionally glancing at me, and each look felt like its own conversation. The silence between us brimmed with something unspoken, something neither of us dared to name. When he finished, I said thank you, then shocked even myself with what came next. "Would you like to stay for dinner?" The question hung in the air. For a second, he looked caught off guard. But then, almost cautiously, he nodded. Cooking together felt strangely natural. I chopped vegetables while he stirred sauce, our shoulders brushing lightly as we moved around the kitchen. Laughter crept in between us, unplanned and effortless. He listened when I spoke, really listened, not rushing to fill silences, not trying to fix me the way he fixed machines. And that, somehow, meant more than any grand gesture ever could. By the time the evening deepened and the kitchen lights glowed softly, the air between us felt fragile, charged. He lingered by the doorway as though torn between leaving and staying. "I don't usually do this," he admitted quietly. "Neither do I confessed. We didn't move closer. We didn't need to. The connection wasn't measured in distance, it was something deeper, something emotional." He left gently that night, with only a promise in his eyes. And when I asked, almost nervously, "Will I see you again?" his reply was simple. "If you want to." "I do," I said without hesitation. The days that followed became a rhythm of their own. He'd stop by with excuses about the car, but we both knew it wasn't about the car anymore. Conversations drifted into silences that didn't feel empty but full of questions unasked, feelings unspoken. One evening, after adjusting some minor rattle, he looked at me beneath the blush of sunset. "Do you believe some people change everything the moment they walk in?" he asked. "Yes," I whispered. "Always." His voice softened. "Do you feel this too?" My silence was my answer. It didn't take declarations or rushed gestures. The truth was in the stillness between us, in the way his gaze lingered, in the way my breath caught when his hand brushed mine. That night, we sat in my living room, music playing faintly in the background. Our hands found each other, not forcefully, not hungrily, just gently, with the weight of meaning. He lowered his forehead to mine, and in that small, quiet gesture, I felt more intimacy than I ever had in my life. Over time, mornings began with his knock at the door. Sometimes he brought coffee, sometimes nothing at all but his presence. We'd sit together, listening to the wind rustle through the trees, no words necessary. Love, I discovered, doesn't always blaze like fire. Sometimes it hums like a familiar melody. Ethan became that melody, steady, warm, unyielding in its quiet depth. And that night, the night his presence shifted from coincidence to inevitability, I finally understood what desire really feels like. Not loud, not hurried, but deep, patient, and powerful in its silence.